Welcome back to Mock the Mock, where we take a look at someone else's mock draft and I mock it. See if you get the reference by the cadence. But we got friend of the channel, Bengal. We're going to be checking out his mock draft. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below, where we have that nice, beautiful, intimate football discourse. Full disclosure, did watch the video prior. That way I don't butcher his opinions too bad. Let's go ahead, get into this sucker. Straight up, man. First two picks are going to be, you're going to get Caleb Williams here at 1. For the Chicago Bears, you're going to get Drake Maye here at 2. For the New England Patriots, feel like that's what everyone's going to do. I think the more logical pick for the Bears, or at least the more financially beneficial pick for the Bears, would be take a quarterback there. There we go. English, not my first language, or third. Actually, it is, but not my third. Actually, my first language. But yeah, no, I just think it's a more financial savvy pick to get a new quarterback, rookie quarterback on a new rookie deal. With the Patriots, it's kind of no-brainer. Get your franchise quarterback. No issues had there, and I don't think there'll be any issues here at 3 with the Arizona Cardinals, as they will take Marvin Harrison Jr. He's the best non-quarterback prospect on the board. He might be the best prospect on the board. Cardinals, if they don't want to trade out of there, which I don't think anyone will be traded up. I mean, unless it's for Marvin Harrison Jr. At that point, you probably like him so much you're not going to really look at those trades. But unless the Bears maybe don't go a quarterback, I don't know. It's a whole can of worms. If there's still Drake Maye or Caleb Williams still available at 3, probably means Marvin Harrison Jr. is gone at 1. Or at least gone at that period. So I just think that it'll probably go this way regardless. Let's see what happens at pick 4 with the Washington Commanders, as they will go Olufashanu. Another pick, makes a ton of sense. They need tackle help. They need offensive line help. It could be either Olufashanu, it could be Joe Alt. 1A, 1B to me. Let's see what the Bears do at 5. They will go Malik Neighbors. Absolutely love Malik Neighbors. Argument to be made that he was the best wide receiver in football this past season, and he's in that second tier of wide receivers, which, hey, man, this is a really good wide receiver class. You get to that tier 2, it's going to be a dogfight for wide receiver 2 with Malik Neighbors, with Roma Dunze, with Keon Coleman. I think all 3 of those guys, they do very different things to some extent. So it's really going to be pick whatever skill set you're looking for. With the Bears, I think you just get another guy who's great at all levels of the field and could create after the catch. You're going to be pairing that up with DJ Moore, with your new franchise quarterback. I like that. At the Bears, they could do a myriad of different things here. They could even trade down. In this scenario, they take a wide receiver. The Jets, I believe, go Joe Alt here at 6. Yes, they do. Protect Aaron Rodgers. That offensive line, not so great this year. It was banged up. But Mekhi Becton, they could bring him back. Even if they do bring him back, I think you could probably still go Joe Alt here. But I think they like Elijah Vera Tucker, maybe a tackle. So probably let him walk, grab a guy on a rookie deal. A really good tackle. I would argue that him and Olu would probably be the top tackles in last year's class. So beautiful. This is where things get fun. Here at pick 7, Bengal picking for his Giants. Isn't that wild name, Bengal? But he's a big Giants fan. They end up taking Keon Coleman. So they go wide receiver. With the top tackles off the board, your tackles probably out of the question. How much do you really love quarterback 3 in this class? It's going to vary for a lot of people. You can make a case for edge, get KT some help. But I like the idea of Keon Coleman, who's radically different than what you have in Jalen Hyatt. And then you also got Wandale there in the slot. And suddenly your receiving core looks really, really nice. Listen, the best thing you can do for your quarterback, if your offensive line isn't that good, is, well, obviously try to repair that offensive line. And you can also get guys that can get open immediately. Not to say Keon Coleman's like the best separator, but in terms of his just frame, catch radius, he's an alpha. He's a guy you can just throw the ball to and have faith that he will come down with a 50-50 type situation. So I like the pick there. Could go Rome Odunze as well. In this case, going Coleman. At pick 8, the Titans will go with J.C. Latham. There we go, J.C. Latham. Their offensive line is hot dog water. Straight up pee-pee, poo-poo. Get some fresh bodies in there. J.C. Latham, ever since the Texas game, really has turned it on. You could also make a case for Telenisa Fuaga, and even our Marius Mims, who unfortunately went down to another ankle injury in the SEC championship game. So I don't know if he even declares, but a spoiler alert, he will be in this class, in this draft. But the Titans, they go with JC. That's A-okay. Real quick, want to give a shout out to the sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. You can see him at the bottom of the overlay there. If you sign up using promo code Broshmo, they will match your first deposit. That's right, your first deposit up to $100 dues. So if you sign up at Underdog Fantasy and you put in promo code Broshmo, you could turn your first deposit from $100 into $200 to play with. It's beautiful. It's the best place to play weekly best ball. My favorite is actually the higher and lower on player prop bets, but they don't just do football. They do all kinds of sports, even esports, which is kind of wild. But as always, please bet responsibly, bet within your means. Who the heck are the Saints going to take here at 9? It's Dallas Turner. Saints, kind of a wild card here. They could go a whole lot of different ways. Ultimately, though, I think if maybe even when they don't make the playoffs this season, it could be like, okay, we've kicked the can far enough down the road. We need to get cheaper as a franchise, as an organization. So we could see some cost-cutting measures to some of those bigger contracts that they've given out. They could be like, screw it, let's just blow it up, rebuild the whole thing. Derek Carr was a mistake. I don't know at birth if he was a mistake, but he was at least a mistake signing for the Saints. So maybe you go quarterback. Depends how you feel about quarterback 3. You make a case for, like, if Keon Coleman's on the board, okay, well, Michael Thomas is a free agent after the season. Maybe we bring Coleman in. You could talk about tackle. You could literally talk about almost everything on this roster, maybe aside from corner, but even then, I'm willing to hear it. Instead, he goes with Dallas Turner. I feel like Cameron Jordan could be a part of those cost-cutting measures, whether it's being a cap casualty or maybe a restructure of his contract. Getting someone next to Carl Granderson. Keep in mind, they did draft Isaiah Foskey last season, but you have no idea where he is in terms of his development. Dallas Turner flies off the edge. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They go with the first corner on the board here, eventually. This is why I don't do videos, guys, when it comes to mock drafts, other people's mock drafts. So hard clicking through this crap trying to find where the pick is. Anywho, they go Nate Wiggins, first corner off the board. You can make a case, maybe Carlton Davis gets cut, maybe gets traded, maybe a part of some sort of trade. There, he is one of their younger corners, and they did extend him along with Jamel Dean, but I think Dean's the better player. Davis has kind of been blown up at points this year. Both have been hurt, so if they're looking for that number 1, like Nate, taking a shot on Nate Wiggins, who, golly, man, you love the frame, can bulk up, but keep in mind he's one of like the youngest corner prospects in this class, but you love the greasy hips, you love the speed. And we've just started to see some of his playmaking ability. So if you believe in terms of, like, depending on where you see his projection, he could go pretty darn high, top 10 included. Las Vegas Raiders, they're going to be taking, let's see if he scrolls down here. Doesn't. Okay, is what it is. They're taking Jaden Daniels. out of LSU. They take the quarterback 3 in this class. There are some connections there from when Jaden Daniels' time at ASU to the now Raiders coaching staff. So people like connecting dots. That might be a dot you connect. He's going to be the Heisman Trophy winner. There, I said it. And the Raiders would probably love to get their franchise quarterback. Like, no shots fired here at Aiden O'Connell. I think he's actually looked relatively all right as a rookie, but I still look at him at his high side, his upside being that of a backup in the NFL. Jaden Daniels gives you a little bit more in terms of he's got the arm strength. He's shown this year to be more of a risk taker. Like, his downfield accuracy this season has been a thing of beauty, and he's been a much bigger improviser when things go to crap. So there we go, Jaden Daniels. Move on to the Chargers, who are going to take Brock Bowers. Come on, scroll down, buddy. All right, you know what? I'm just going to do this. There we go. So the Chargers are going to go with Brock Bowers. He's on the board. He's the top prospect on the board. I get it. I think Gerald Everett's probably a free agent. If not, probably has one more year on his deal, but they could probably cut if they want to, which is a shame. He's been a very solid tight end for them. But Brock Bowers is the best player on the board. If you want to be like, okay, man, you know, Herbert, we're going to get you more pass catchers. Obviously, we got a pass catcher problem. Quentin Johnson, hopefully he develops next season, takes a leap, because this year it's been not ideal. Let's go with that. They will get healthy Mike Williams back next season, but I mean, you're giving Herbert all of the weapons at this point. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to go with Roma Dunze, I think. No, I think it's just. Oh, I can't remember. Okay, no, it is Roma Dunze. So he goes with Roma Dunze as the pick here to be the replacement for T. Higgins. He's leaving for free agency. Makes world sense. Roma Dunze, he's among that tier 2. Again, Malik Neighbors, Keon Coleman, Roma Dunze. You can take them whatever order you want. Again, it's going to be specific compared to, or at least it's going to be different depending on what team is drafting. But in terms of just athleticism, like length, size, speed, he's got it this year. His completion, like contested catch rate, it's at 70%. That's a great number. That was one of the big things I wanted to see him improve it. And he was like, okay, well, I'm going to do that and tenfold. And he sure has. He's looked really good this season. Buffalo Bills are going to end up taking Cooper DeJean. DeJean did have a leg injury specifically. Let's see what the leg injury was. Yeah, I mean, this was like a couple of weeks ago. He's going to miss the remainder of the year. I just see it's a lower leg injury. I don't have specifically what it was, but it was during practice. They say it's a significant one, so I've seen reports that say he probably misses the All-Star circuit, which sucks, man. But in terms of what the tape he's put on the field, this is a very versatile player, very good athlete. He used to be a quarterback back in high school. He was actually recruited by South Dakota State to play quarterback. Decided to go to Iowa, but yeah, no, this kid's a stupid good athlete, and he has that size and that speed where it's like, oh, he could play in the slot, he could be a safety. A lot of people have been projecting him to play safety at the next level, so he just gives the Bills a lot of avenues on what they can do with him, whether they want him on the outside, slot, box, deep. Again, he just gives them choices and possibilities. Who doesn't like that? Denver Broncos, they're going to be taking Jerzon Newton. They could definitely use maybe a little more pick me up along the defensive line. They kind of like when it comes to them as a team that gets after the passer, it's kind of like pass rush by committee. It feels like it's a different name every week, though Nick Bonito has really turned it on the last couple of weeks. But on that interior, it's really just Zach Allen. I mean, with Drazon Newton, you get a really, really good run defender and a guy who just can penetrate, plays with his hair on fire. You absolutely love it. Seattle Seahawks are going to be going with Troy Fautanu. So we see a guard / tackle now go with this pick. I think quarterback could be in play. Do they want quarterback 4 at 17? I don't know. We'll find out. But with Fautanu, a lot of people project him to be a very good NFL guard right away. But it could be a case that made that, okay, you could keep him out there at tackle. Not that Seattle really needs tackles. They're still developing your Charles Cross and your Abraham Lucas, who Lucas has been out hurt for a large part of the year. But you get Fautanu, man, in there, and it's like if one of those parts don't work, you could always kick Fautanu out, or if you have injuries, you can always kick Fautanu out. So I don't see him going this high, but you're going to see his name pop up a lot more in the second half of mock drafts, I think. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet. So send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals. And guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase and it's a great way to support the channel. The Rams are going to go with Liatu Latu. They're going to keep him in LA. There's a great case to be made that if not for the injury red flag, we're talking about a surefire top 10 pick. But again, you are going to have concerns with the neck. Edge rush is a great place to go. We've only seen one edge rusher go off the board. So the Rams, you want to line up someone across from Byron Young, this would be a great opportunity to do that, especially if you're not in love with the tackles, which are Marius Mims and Talinisa Fuaga are right tackles. They would have to make that transition in the NFL, not to say that they can't, but it's something to take into consideration. Not everyone's going to be Penei Sewell, where they can switch both sides. Though, I will make the argument if you're drafted a tackle in like the top 10 to 15, you probably feel confident that they can play both sides. Probably. But since we're outside of that 15, do you really want to risk players switching them sides and whatnot? It's a fair question to ask. So just bring that up because, again, a lot to consider with these first round draft picks. Arizona Cardinals, I think this is where he goes on a run of edge players. I think he takes he takes Chop Robinson. So I think this cat has the best get off of any edge rusher in this class. Like, legit, he is twitched up, explosive. However, the consistency has kind of been up and down with him. Like, when he's consistent, he's darn near dominant. And then there are times where, okay, he kind of disappears. 10% pass rush win rate. Okay. It is what it is. But, I mean, now pairing him up with BJ Ojulari, who's played really, really well for the Cardinals, granted, in a very limited sample size. I think he's played like 250 snaps, maybe a bit more. But still don't mind the pick. I think we continue to see edge off the board with Jared Verse to the Falcons. Yep. Jared Verse goes to the Falcons. Again, if you're not sold on quarterback at this point 4, then go ahead, draft whoever's the top player on your board. In this case, Jared Verse would be the top guy on my board. I'm a huge fan. He's turned it on during the second half of the season. And the Falcons would love a pass rusher. Green Bay Packers, I believe he goes corner here. But I don't think it's Kool-Aid. I think it's Terrion Arnold. Nope. Here we go. Yep, it's Terrion Arnold. So Terrion Arnold, there are some cases where he might go in front of Kool-Aid McKinstry because he is that freaky of an athlete. Like his frame, ridiculous. His athleticism, ridiculous. He's just very much unpolished. A guy that does need to needs a little refinement in his technique, whether it's his back pedal or how he uses his hands during the route and whatnot. But in terms of like maybe where you project him, he could end up being like terms of projection. Oh, I can see this cat has the makings of being the top corner in this draft class. I could very much see that. So I think some teams are going to have him higher or maybe even corner 1 on their board opposed to some other teams. Green Bay Packers very much could be a team like that. They love their RAS players, the RAS scores. You're unfamiliar. Those nice little cards we see during draft time on X. Check out the site too. Like, was it just RAS Football? I think it's rasfootball.com. Great. It's a great resource if you want to get into the percentiles and whatnot. But I think regardless, like Green Bay, they haven't been healthy this year at corner, so adding more names, especially since they moved Rasul Douglas, who's still playing really good. They could definitely go corner here. You can make a case maybe tackle still possibly area they want to go, and it could be, but I think corner ideally might be a little bit better, especially considering like only 2 corners have gone off the board here. The Colts and oh no, it's not the Colts pick, it's the Vikings, and I think this is where we see a quarterback. Yes, he goes Carson Beck. This is probably the biggest thing I was like, whoa, in this draft. I was taken back by Carson Beck. I'm not in love with Carson Beck, and I quite frankly think he returns to school. But if he does come out, I'm not in love with him. I think he plays the quarterback position exceptionally well. I think he does really good in that Georgia offense, in that scheme. I don't think he's got like elite arm talent, but I would say it's fair. It's fine. It's first round worthy. He knows how to maneuver the pocket, and he can extend the play with his feet, but we're not talking like some phenomenal athlete. Well, where he's been really good is on the short to intermediate, really slicing and dicing teams. But we have seen some of the decision making not always be great. Granted, it's kind of few and far between because Georgia, they're not going to let you go out there and just keep making mistakes. That's how Stetson Bennett ended up holding on to the job over like a JT Daniels. That an injury. But I don't like right now his skill set and his tools as like first round. I think it can get there, but he's definitely someone that needs a little bit more seasoning. So if we're grabbing him, you're probably grabbing him to maybe sit. I don't know. I'm not there with him. I can see him being a top 50 guy. For some people, I think he'd be outside my top 50 because I'd probably have guys like JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix, Michael Penix over him. But I could see the allure of someone like Carson Beck. All right, this Colts pick, we're going to be taking, well, not we, but Bengal is going to be taking Kool-Aid McKinstry. Makes all the sense in the world, especially for a Gus Bradley type of defense where you're not blitzing a ton. You're really hoping to hit home with 4 pass rushers, which, I mean, Bengal makes a great case where it's like maybe they invest in the defensive line, but at this point in the draft, you know, your top talent's going to be a corner. So, hey, if you're not always hitting it, like if your defense isn't always hitting home quickly, then maybe grabbing more cornerback talent so you could force those coverage sacks. And I like that. I like that a bit. And this is a team that also, corner is a volatile position. Keep adding talent to it. And this is a team that could definitely add more talent to the cornerback position. The Pittsburgh Steelers end up going, I believe, Amarius Mims. Yep. Makes all sense in the world. You get to pair up Broderick Jones with a former teammate. In terms of Amarius Mims, man, this is a guy that is like 6'7", 340. Like at that build and just being able to move the way he does, like he's oozing the tools. But another guy that, well, he needs more playing time. And unfortunately, injury kind of cost him that this season. But I think prior to the season, I was like, this is a guy with a top 10 skill set. I think he could be in that offensive tackle 1 discussion, and I still think that. But it might means he should return to school if he wants to get that top 10 status. All right, we got the Houston Texans. And he goes with Brian Thomas. I think I'm starting to see that. Like, I love Brian Thomas. I think a lot of people are loving him too. I think it was maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was like, man, guys, like Brian Thomas. I think I even made a video where I was like, guys, I could potentially return. And I mentioned Brian Thomas, where if he returns, I think he'd be in the wide receiver 1 discussion with Luther Burden from Mizzou. Like, Brian Thomas he's got that type of tools. Probably comes out just because Malik Neighbors is gone, Jaden Daniels will be gone. So might be more ideal to come out, and I'm kind of hoping I was like, I don't know if he'll move up boards the way he should, because I do think he's a guy that's got that top 10 to 15 talent. But now I'm starting to see him just move up a lot in a lot of people's mock drafts, and I love it. I love it, love it, love it, because I think he starts at next tier wide receivers for me, man. Like, guys that are in the discussion, you got your Brian Thomas, your Troy Franklin, Emeka Ibuka, you got A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Leggett. Those are all that wide receiver tier 3. And again, it kind of works the same way I was talking about with tier 2, where it's like, got a bunch of different guys with kind of a ton of different skill sets, and really where they go or where they're ranked on teams' boards kind of depends on the team, what they're looking, what skill set do they want. Because, hey guys, variety is the spice of life, especially at the wide receiver position and in the running back room. But I didn't really give my thoughts on the Texans going wide receiver. Sure. That's another team where it's like, hey, if they just want to take the best player on the board, got no problem with that. I believe he takes wide receiver here as well for the Chiefs. Yep, he takes Emeka Ibuka. Emeka Ibuka, man, he is like probably the most balanced receiver in this class. Very good route runner, creates good separation, has a little bit of after the catch ability, though it's not as great as some of the other guys in this class. And just sure hands. Like, he is just like, hey, this is a high-end wide receiver 2 or borderline elite slot wide receiver. That's kind of where I'm at with Emeka Ibuka, and I'm kind of curious if he ends up falling because of that for the other guys who have more of these like bigger traits and they fill an actual role rather than just all around very good player. So kind of curious. Chiefs grab him here. I don't think anyone's going to dispute wide receiver for the Chiefs, though. Kind of makes sense. Jacksonville Jaguars, they go with Graham Barton. This cat definitely profiles as a guard/center. Very early into the season, I moved him from my tackles to my interior list. Currently plays left tackle for Duke, but he was recruited as a guard. Played center his first season, then he moved, and for the last 3 seasons that he's played left tackle. But definitely ideally ends up moving to the interior there, which you can make a great argument that, man, they don't really have a player there at left guard. You can even make a great argument that that they don't have a starting caliber center. I know some people are going to be mad at that with Fortner, which Fortner I feel like is very mediocre. I didn't really love the pick at that time. I had him more as like a late 3rd, early 4th. He ends up going higher than that. Not much, but enough for me to be like, ooh, I love that pick. And honestly, he's, again, just been mediocre. So this offers a potential replacement, or at the very least, someone that could fill in that left guard spot. As we've seen like Walker Little do it, but honestly, I think Walker Little's future is probably a tackle. Then again, it's kind of been a bit of a roller coaster at tackle. Ben Barch, but he's no longer on the squad. You had Shantley, but he's more of a backup. So yeah, I get the pick. I understand. This one got me. Talanisa Fuaga going to the Cowboys, because immediately I was like, okay, well, they just extended Terrence Steele. So, I mean, are you expecting maybe Fuaga to start or play at guard? I think that's the case. Do you want to play at left tackle? I think Tyler Smith's the better option. You're looking to move on from Tyron Smith. So in that case, are we drafting a guard here? I don't know, man. It kind of opens up the possibilities, but I'm not in love with a lot of the outcomes. Like Fuaga, I want Fuaga to tackle, and preferably I'd like him better on the right side just because he's played on the right side his whole career. Not to say he can't make it at left tackle, but I personally, I'd rather keep him where he's been dominating the last like 2 or 3 seasons. So this was an interesting pick, but the value's there definitely. I have him a little bit higher on my board. We got the Detroit Lions. They end up going JT Tuimoloau, so they take the next tier of edge rusher because there is a bit of drop off after your top 4. Because now we're talking like Braylon Trice, JT Tuimoloau, and yeah, I get it. You want to pair up someone with Aiden Hutchinson. Tuimoloau in terms of like size, length, speed, explosiveness. I think he's got high-end tools. It's just been the consistency's kind of been all over the place with him. He's been much more consistent this season, and it warrants a look at the back end of the first. I still think I would love to get a corner here because you still got great options on the board, but again, you're gonna have to weigh like, okay, the next tier of corners, where do you have them in comparison to that next tier of edge rushers? The San Francisco 49ers end up going, okay, we're going to talk 2 picks here. So the Niners end up going with Tyler Guyton. I'm not this high on Guyton. Like, he's going to be like a fringe top 50 guy for me right now. Can totally move up. But I mean, I get why the Niners go with that. Maybe, obviously, like Colt McKivitz has been meh. So you want to get that right tackle replacement. It's just there's other guys I'm a little higher on in this class, like your Jordan Morgans, your Kingsley, Sumateas. We got Kamari Lassiter going to the Ravens. I like this. They don't really have that cornerback too. It's kind of just been like Ronald Darby, Rocky Sin, Brandon Stevens. So it's like, regardless, it's been working out all right for the Ravens. But if you want to look for that next guy, I think you got a great opportunity to do that at this back end of the first round. And Lassiter, I think Lassiter ends up being a first rounder, man. He's pretty darn good. By Miami Dolphins, he goes ahead and selects Patrick Paul. I'm okay with it. I get it. Some people love Paul. I'm not in love with Paul. Some people love Patrick Paul. I'm not in love with Patrick Paul. I get it. He's tall. He moves well. I think he's very unpolished. If anything, I'm getting like Austin Jackson vibes at this point. Like, and you'd be like, oh, Austin Jackson's been pretty darn good in a contract year. I really wish he would have been good earlier, because now it makes it much tougher to believe the minute we give him money, he ends up going back to the same Austin Jackson we saw prior to this season. That's what I'm afraid of. So, again, with Austin Jackson kind of being an early comp for Patrick Paul for me, I'm not in love with it. And then he finishes out with the Philadelphia Eagles taking Quinyon Mitchell, which, hey man, I don't mind that. I love the Toledo prospect getting some love, man. I like Quinyon. He's gonna be in my top 50. I think he's a pretty darn solid prospect. And I get it if the Eagles want to look for their corners of tomorrow, because I think, Bradbury Slay might have another year or 2 left before they decide to let the younger guys get some play. And they've been loading that up with like your Keely Ringo, Eli Ricks, Josh Job. But I mean, here you get an actual shot on a guy who wasn't a day 3 or undrafted free agent. So yeah, I don't mind it. Go ahead, go for it, I guess. But that's it for the mock draft. Let me know what you think of Bengals mock. I thought there were some interesting picks, but overall I thought it was relatively fine, solid. It gets a thumbs up, much like you're going to do to this video. Anywho, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.